So it's been 4 years, and in those 4 years, we've seen literally high rises go up right before our eyes. We've seen the Padres rally and then regress. We've seen an amazing community develop around this space at the corner of J and 13th called J Street Commons, where we've met so many friends. And then 2 years later, we lost that space because there was complications with noise complaints. And then a few months later, something called COVID-19 hit. And it crippled not just our church, but churches across the world. Here we are, a year and a half later. And a month ago, we reopened our doors for the first time here on J Street. And I'll tell you what, something is afoot at the Circle K. I don't know what yet, but it's beautiful and it's exciting. Today, we're gonna just share with you guys some stories of people who have been integral to what we have called our mission for the last 4 years. Stories that are diverse, stories that are inspiring, and hopefully a story that gives you a picture of the future. Because though Second Sunday has been through a lot, it's seen a lot of good. And we want to give so much praise for all the good things God is up to.
Hi, I'm Dylan. I was a resident of the East Village, which was how I came to this community. My now wife and I had just gotten back from a year in traveling around Asia and Mexico, and we had moved in across the street from the J Street Commons building. This is early 2019. And we found this beautiful apartment building in a kind of a hip, grungy part of downtown. And right across the street was this giant warehouse with a coffee shop inside and a bunch of tables. I was like, this is incredible. We have it felt like kind of like our castle between the apartment building and living at J Street Commons and working.
Just being on the corner, and Jay was like, hey, we've got this group, we meet, and actually they had, I believe you guys had done work with the school prior to that, or just had an interest in doing that with us at the school. So then that happened. It's a perfect match because it not only gives the kids within the school an opportunity to see what's going on in the community directly, but just having an ability to be able to meet with them. So again, just another warm embrace from the community.
It was on my second week there that this strange elderly man says, hey, what are you working on? And had seen some of the books or some of the stuff I was writing, and Jay and I struck up a whole conversation.
I'm Chloe, and I came to Second Sunday through Dylan, and it's just fascinating how this thread from San Francisco led me here, and now I actually live 2 blocks away. All these miracles I could have never imagined or predicted or even planned on my own.
And immediately felt at home and welcomed and just comfortable.
I was a nomad for a bit of time and resettled in the Carlsbad area, and then knew that Dylan and Jess were here in San Diego. And, I was kind of a regular at their Sunday pancake brunches, and eventually also came down for church. And for me, that was a big coming home after not attending church for a long time.
Right before COVID happened that I started to be a part of it, and I was like, oh, this is how I'm going to stay sane, which is important for all of us from a mental health perspective, just to be connected with other people, not being at home.
Part of the spiritual community, and have been regular members of the community since.
So my name is Thomas, and I'm, as you probably can hear, I'm Polish German, and I moved, I think it was 2018, to San Diego, and right on 13th and Market, and well, I went to this coffee spot, Gentile, because one of the other residents recommended to go to this coffee spot because it would be so nice inside. So we went there, and yeah, there were plants, so it felt really inviting, and there was this elderly man.
And having the experience of what Second Sunday's done, just for me, because I'm just like not a person that typically likes to get out. So getting out now is like a good thing, being more social.
Myself to the divine, to the sacred, to God, to feel supported by the people here. Jay, a number of the members of this community were at my wife and I's house, which is newly renovated last night, and it just felt so great and so natural to have members of this community there, fresh off of these renovations, to kind of bless the house and to warm it up and use it for the first time.
So every time we went into there, well, Jay was sitting there and I think working. So at some point I asked Justin, which was the owner of Gentile Coffee, because I thought the place was actually owned by Gentile Coffee at the beginning, introduced me, I think, to Jay, or I approached you, and we got to talk. And yeah, Jay is just an amazing person, and we had a long talk.
Even sitting in certain services and being back here in the physical space just creates like so much about how much we have when we give.
Jay, even though across the ocean we had contact and we talked, and he was there as a friend, helped me to, not gonna get into what my current situation is, but I had a bad situation and Jay was there as a friend, and now I'm more than blessed being here and being part of this community, so I'm very, very thankful.
Grateful that this community exists. It has been a staple of my life now for over 2 years, and I look forward to continuing to be a member of the community.
So thank you to Maddie and Marissa and anyone else who's contributed with the music, because the one thing that I always missed about not going to church was the singing.
Certainly for me it's about like being part of a community and hopefully also doing my part in helping building a community. Yep.
And that's when I got it. I was like, oh, okay, now I understand what you mean. And I told you that. I remember telling you that. Because I asked you, are you leaving? It's like, well, I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, well, here's what I know. So all of that to say, here I am. It's taken me a while to figure out exactly my role here. I kept asking and kept trying my best to have one foot in and one foot out. But God's like, nope, all in, and then you're gonna know. I made the conscious decision, I'm all in, and God's like, all right, here's what you're supposed to do. You know, for me, honestly, is I didn't understand why that type of teaching, you know, like how to pray, how do you know you're a Christian, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I didn't understand that until afterwards, how that's so foundational. Because once I learned that and, like, learned that foundation and what it is and how it's lived out, it's like, everybody needs to know that. That needs to be on the forefront of everybody's mind. That way they can go from that point and grow spiritually and as a human.
It's been very transformative in a lot of ways to a lot of people. And so, as Sally was saying, even though the numbers are not the same as they were, you know, pre-COVID, I would say that honestly, the folks that have moved on were impacted by us in a positive way, and we're ascending church. Folks that have moved to Texas and folks that have moved to Nevada and, you know, moved out of the area as a result of all the migration that you know, we've experienced the last 2 years. We didn't lose these people. I'd say that we, you know, they were sent, And I think that's been positive. I think it's been very positive. We're not the club, we're not the country club, we're not the birds of a feather flock together. We're extremely diverse. And I really feel that what we've sent people out with is that they'll never be able to do church the same. You know, I really do believe that is true.
I was just going to say, I would use a different word, that I think you're speaking to. There's an authenticity that Second Sunday has always been about, and is always, you've never required it formally, but I think what you have embodied, it just brings it out of other people.
Yeah.
And so there's been a sense of community, a sense of welcome, a sense of being allowed to be yourself.
Where do you see us headed in terms of immediate depth of engagement and growing and proliferating the beauty that I think God is all about? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And I think two areas that we've talked about. One, I think you and Ning have, you guys have brought it from the beginning, and that's just building community where you are, inviting people in, breaking bread with people, and doing it in warm community, but then also helping people learn to multiply and do it on their own. And I think that's one of the things that drew Dan and me from the beginning, that we would do it, we would happily do it all day long, you know, not being on staff, just it's what we love to do, which is build community, break bread together, help others to do the same. The other area, I think, is just what we've talked about in terms of this mental health crisis that we see all around us. And I think there's nothing good about that, but the one silver lining in that is that the world finally admits, everybody knows, we need to find solutions to this. We've understood spiritual growth well, but it's almost like our medical system in America. We know how to save lives, we know how to do trauma care, and then the minute it comes to maintenance and helping people maintain their health, we kind of lose steam. And it feels like that whole emotional health piece we really need to get better at. We've talked about doing a couple groups in the new year, and the one that sounds like a lot of fun is the Building a Positive Life group. And I think the challenge is going to be not to bring too much into that, just to keep it simple, but also cover some of the areas that churches tend to ignore in terms of a tripart being. What do we need to be healthy and whole?
Because a lot of the people we're meeting are experiencing the disintegration that it's not just theory.
It's not just
it's a reality.
theory.
Yeah.
And I always think, one of the things that drew Dan and me when you guys were first praying down here was you were struck when you were running down here by the alienation and the loneliness down here. And that in the how many years has it been? 10 years that you guys have been?
Yeah.
So in all those years, and then when we joined you guys in prayer walking down here, that loneliness and alienation has just gotten worse.
Yeah.
So, and I've just been reading Brene Brown, and she's quoting current studies like 2020, 2021, about how loneliness and love, when the lack is felt, it's like physical pain. It's such a severe pain. Yeah, I'm passionate about that one because I had lifelong anxiety. My whole life, I had it coming every way you could imagine. I came by it honestly and had severe anxiety to the point of panic attacks at one point. And I'm free from it today. And I credit prayer. I credit the ministries that you oversaw at the church that we came from in terms of finding freedom.
The uniqueness of Second Sunday and the community that we build, and that starts with people. There's something freeing about being able to show up and be part of a community and having a sense of belonging, and then picking up kind of a sense of mission in being able to just be friends with people that are not from your background, that are not necessarily like you. Just the way that this has been unfolding, it's beautiful, and I just want more people to come and be part of it.
it's been so incredible to explore these relationships. And one thing that's been driven home, like every week, is don't run away from Athens and Rome. By that I mean, don't run away from those areas that are central, that are actually like the petri dishes of culture, those things where the futures are being born. Don't run away from those places. Don't run away from those people who are having a hand in building the future of what San Diego will be, and the future of what America will be, and the future of what the world will be. Be with them. Host a conversation around Jesus that is new, that's inspiring, that recasts a vision of the early church's vision of Jesus. You see, because probably what's happened more than anything over the last 2,000 years is that Jesus has been domesticated. He's no longer dangerous. Death by 1,000 qualifications, we've made him like us. And as Alan Hirsch says, like us on a good day, which is so boring, right? But the Jesus that inhabits the story of the Bible is engaging culture every step of the way and hanging out with people who the religious elite said don't hang out with them. He was talking to them about the narratives that they were holding, and he was acknowledging the truth that they had discovered to that point. This is the kind of conversation we host. We don't want to run away from culture. We want to engage. In a time when the church has done a really poor job of being there with this beautiful story, humbly, patiently sitting and building relationships, it makes sense to us to do that. So that's what we're doing. And these stories that you've heard kind of tell the rich kind of fabric of what's developing. Slow. It's a slow game. It's not even a game, it's life. And the relationships that are in that are what it's all about. That's actually where we discover this beautiful truth that the God of the universe is not far off. The God of the universe is not mad. The God of the universe is leaning in so that we can know that we are perfectly safe and perfectly loved. And when you, as a perfectly safe and perfectly loved human, are in that state, you look up. You see the person across from you, maybe for the first time. It's this vision of reconciliation that compels us. And it's this vision of reconciliation that we're not giving up on. It's been hard. We're essentially at a relaunch. We're essentially starting anew. But you know what? We believe that we've been preparing, I guess, for such a time as this. The last 4 years have been our preparation. Just as the 3 years of the disciples hanging out with Jesus were preparation. This was our preparation. And we feel like as we move forward, we're more equipped than ever and more humble than ever to walk humbly with God into this awesome mission. So we want to open it up to you guys. If this is something that you feel like, hey, this is something I can back. We understand it's not for everybody, but if this is something that you can back, we'd encourage you to give today. You can text Second Sunday to 77977, and you can participate with us in worship and support this local parish in East Village of San Diego in everything that we're doing and everything that we're about. We need your support, and we love you and thank you for coming with us on this journey. God bless you guys, and as you go into this holiday season, we pray that you have a blast, that the eggnog is just a little bit spicier and sweeter, that the food is just that much more savory, and that the relationships and the laughter is a little bit more from the gut. God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.